Text labels are very simple. All you have to do is go to text, and that's where you can start dragging the different text labels that you might have. You can, by the way, tack this panel open, and when you do that, it automatically stays open so that you can continue to drag instead of it going away each time. The real design behind that panel was so that when you drug it out onto the sketch, it got out of your way so that you're not having to move a dialogue around or anything like that. So we thought that this was the most efficient way to really handle this. So if you have things like dining and you need to place that, and you've got an entryway up here in the front, you can do that as well. You might have the symbols that you might want to place. Symbols are as simple as dragging them onto the sketch itself. So let's drag, let's get out of appliances and let's look for a door. So we'll go to doors here, and I want to drag the left hinge 90-degree door out onto the sketch. I'm going to drop it, then I'm going to go to my pointer and grab it and drag it into place. And once it's where I want it to be, I let it go, and there it is. So now we've got our symbols that are out there. If I wanted to view my calculations, I can do that as well. Coming through and looking at my calculations, it shows everything that I have defined at this point. It shows all the different codes, 913, 701, GLA2. These are the different types of areas that you might have within the sketch itself based on codes that you use. 701 makes no sense to you, I bet, but it probably makes sense to somebody who created this. So whenever you start looking at these codes, again, they can be tailored around your own preferences and requirements. To finish up and open up for questions and answers, just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the gestures that you were seeing. I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to draw a few lines. You've got gestures that you have within the program itself. Drawing a line is really a gesture in itself that we recognize and interpret as a line, and then we render it. But there are other gestures that you have within the program that come in handy from time to time. In this particular case, you'll notice that this 21-foot line is drawn to the right, and you can tell because on this side is a rounded point, on this side is an arrow tip. And what you do, if you wanted to change that direction of that line, is you can put in a gesture of less than, which moves it to the left. You could do less than again, which would move it back to the right, or you could use the greater than sign. Depending on which one you use, it doesn't really matter. We'll change the direction. So you can choose to use the same one over and over again, whatever it is that you're most comfortable with. The other thing is undo and redo. I do an undo by going up and down. Let me go ahead and draw a couple more lines here because I did all those changes of direction. But if I do an undo, it removes those lines one at a time. If I do an undo, by the way, was up and down. A redo is down and up. So as I go down and up each time, it puts the lines back in. Up and down removes them as far as undo. Okay? And that's as simple as stroking. It's a stroke up and down with the pen. If I want to delete that line, all I have to do is do a scratch out. That's at least 3 back and forth. So if I go from left to right, right to left, then left to right, and let go, it'll remove that selected item from the screen. If I use the pigtail, it'll do the same thing. There are other things that you have that come into alignment, that have to do with alignment and other drawing tools that you might have. Let me select that one and delete it. If I draw a line here, you have these alignment points that come out to the right that come in alignment with these vertical lines. If I tap on this line, it adds another segment of 27 feet. If I tap again, it adds another segment and yet another. But what if you didn't want to do that? What if you wanted to come in alignment with this 17-foot line here, but you really wanted to grow that line in that direction? In order to do that, let me do my undo gesture. You would use a lowercase a. And when you do that, it continually grows it in that same direction in coming in alignment with the next point in space. That allows you to use that in a fashion so that you can continually grow a line, even though you may not know that dimension yet, but by using reference points in the field, you can come in alignment with other points. Now the other thing that you have are plus and minus type of dimensions. You might be measuring in segments because the property is so complex, but the line itself, well, actually the property might be very difficult, but measuring it might be hard. So you might have a straight wall that has a lot of obstacles that you need to get around, but you can measure them in pieces. The first 20-foot section here you've got and you've measured and you've already drawn. But we have another segment that might be 6.8 feet to the right. In this case, you could write in plus 6.8. And when you do that, it adds 6.8 feet in that direction. The next one might be plus 7.2. And it continues to add to it and grow it in that direction that you've drawn. The same is also true. You might draw out to a reference point. For instance, what if I knew that I came in alignment with this last point, but it's really 5 feet back from that point? So you could do minus 5. And it'll subtract that as well. So you've got your gestures that you can use at any given point. Another, trying to think of any more gestures that might actually be there that would be useful for you. In this particular case, I think we're done. So what I'm going to do is show you one more thing here. I meant to close up already, but in this particular case, there's still yet another feature, and that's called insert vertex that we didn't show yet. I'm going to draw just your typical L-shaped type of property, and I'm going to make this one 40. Go ahead and make this one 40 as well. Let's go ahead and come up 20, come across 20, up 20, and close it. Okay? Insert vertex allows you to draw perimeters and then break out certain elements of that particular property. For instance, if this L-shaped property also included the livable area and maybe a garage over here in this portion, you can do that by using insert vertex. And when I do that and I draw this line straight down from here, you'll notice that it breaks this 40-foot dimension into two 20-foot dimensions. So now I can go back and I can properly define this area in the way it needs to be. This one's the first floor and this one's a garage. If that area were already defined, you can do the same thing. Let me go ahead and show you that. I'll go to undo up here. And let's go ahead and define this as the first floor. And you defined it, you're thinking, oops, I really didn't want 1,200 square feet of the first floor. Let me go ahead and move this one over here. Let's go ahead, we're still in insert vertex. Now what I'm going to go do is draw, and I'm going to draw straight down again. And you notice this time I came up short. All I have to do is hit my A. It comes in alignment. Of course, if I would have hit it right on that line, I could have drawn it straight down and popped to it as well. But you notice automatically it takes that first floor area and makes it into two first floors. Simply because we don't know what you want the next area to be. But all you have to do is come in here, grab your attached garage, drag it into that place, and it'll change that label just fine. That's what insert vertex allows you to do. There are times when you need insert vertex on because you want it to break these dimensions in half, and everything else that you might have, you won't want to do that because you may not want to break those walls into their own segments when the time comes, based on circumstance.